Hey everybody, it is I, Hellgear, and I want to talk about the Mario Kart 8 North American Online Open Tournament that happened this past weekend. To those of you who did not know this, the Nintendo channel, the Nintendo News channel on the Switch, as well as Nintendo's website announced this tournament. To those of you who missed this tournament, or if you didn't miss this tournament but you were in a different region, I will explain what they were doing. This is to everybody living in Europe and Asia and whatnot. 3 days ago began the North American Online Open Tournament for Mario Kart 8. The purpose of this tournament is so that my Nintendo users can compete in 3 days of an open online game of racing at 150 cc's, where the top 8 finishers each day receive 2,500 gold Nintendo reward points. Now, if you lived in the United States, Mexico, and or Canada, you were game. The good thing about this tournament, at least from my perspective, is that as someone who hadn't played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in a while, and this is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, by the way, not Mario Kart 8, not Mario Kart Tour, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch. I hadn't played this in the longest time, so my first day, I got worked over. Well, I got worked over all 3 days, but still, it was nice to get behind a controller and hit the track again. Competition was tough all 3 days, and here's the thing about this tournament. Even though it said the top 8 finishers would get things, 7th place was a really tight bubble because on all 3 days there was a tie for 7th place. Friday and Sunday had a 2-way tie for 7th place, and Saturday had a 3-way tie for 7th place. So essentially, on Saturday, there were 9 people in the top 8. I don't know how they're going to give the 3 7th place finishers the 2,500 gold. Either they'll give it to 2 of them and the 3rd guy is just assed out. I don't know. The interesting thing that I noted is that when I entered on Sunday and looked at the top spots, 3rd place was represented with the French flag, and France is a country in Europe. What came to mind is, okay, you're originally from France, but if you're in this tournament, you obviously live in the United States or something, right? Wrong. And the reason why that's wrong is because in certain parts of Canada, they do speak French. So, as I was contemplating going through the rest of my runs, I just told myself, well, maybe the French guy lives in Canada. I know in many Nintendo tournaments, they have places in Canada that are eligible. I think except for like 1 or 2 parts of Canada, which you can't actually enter from there. Nintendo be funny that way. So it was really interesting to see. Some of the people who I ran into during this tournament noted that there were players from other parts of the region. And when I say the region, a particular player who I managed to talk to ran into players racing in this tournament that were from Brazil. Now, Brazil is not North America, but it is in the North American region. And to those of you who are wondering, when you go to tournament settings, there are regional areas. Now, the North American region essentially captures the United States, Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean islands, South America, and I believe parts of Oceania as well. Then you have the European region, which is it was mostly Europe. I think it stops at just before India and parts of Russia, and I believe Africa as well. And then we have the Asian region, which is the other part of Russia, because Russia spans over 2 damn continents because it's super ass huge. India, China, Japan, Korea, those guys. Some parts of Australia might even fall under the Asian region as well. I always thought it was part of Oceania, which is the North American region. All 3 days had some really steep scores, and one of the things I mentioned in the last day was 300 points. Now, that is a very high ceiling to cap, and with rotations happening every 4 races, you're essentially doing 6 cups. The biggest problem with this 300 point thing that I don't want to cry foul about, but I just noticed this, is during these tournaments there were no computers involved. So it was all players. And only one time during this tournament I had a full room of 12 players. It was me and 11 other people. No other time during my 3 days of the tournament had I had a 12-player room. A lot of 10-player rooms and some small rooms at that. And when you play online with other players, if there aren't that many drivers around, the point value for first place isn't as high. You know, when there's 12 players, first place is 15 points. But sometimes when you get on, you're not always going to have 15 players racing with you. This is probably because of the time of day that you get on. Some people hop on dead on at noon, which is when these tournaments started on all 3 days. It was from noon to 6 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're living on the East Coast, that's probably what, 3, maybe 4 in the afternoon? I don't know. I didn't start getting in until 3 p.m. Pacific time and 2 p.m. on Sunday, I believe. Around 2. Did I have fun during this? Yes, I did. It was actually nice playing some of these tracks. And there are a lot of tracks in here that I got to play, and it felt really good to do. Especially when I got to swing on courses that are in Mario Kart Tour from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like Neo Bowser City for one, you know, Yoshi Circuit for another one, you know, some of the courses that I'm used to. The original the original Super Nintendo Rainbow Road. It felt nice to actually have a controller to hit the turns like I'm used to, instead of just sliding from side to side on the screen of a tablet, or in many other people's cases who play Tour, like someone I met. It felt good to swing on the controller instead of swiping side to side on a cell phone screen. The first day was very, very rough. The second day, I believe, was kind of the better day for me. You know, I did the best on Sunday, the last day, but Saturday was essentially the lit part of it. And a very big issue about that is, and this is from people I've met during this, because, you know, voice chat on Nintendo Switch Online. Some people thought that Nintendo should have made the times longer. Others feel, and this is one that I've caught, and I agree with, is the number of players in a room. You know, if there are 12 people in a room, first place is in 15 points. I've had like 9, 10 people maximum, except for my very first race. My very first race in the tournament on Friday had 12 people. Every other room I've been to, there was not 12 people in the rooms. 10 people maximum. And the lowest I've had in a room was 3. And when there aren't that many people in the room, when you're doing the racing tournament, you're not getting as much points. And that could have been offset by some like hard artificial intelligence, AI. But I guess Nintendo wanted to make it fair with players only, and I respect that. And that goes into the top scores. Remember, if you're going to get 300 points, not only do you need to be in first place, but you need to be in first place for 20 of your 24 rounds, gaining you 15 points each. And in order to do that, you got to have rooms of 12 people in. But if you're in a room and there's like half of the slots on the track filled, 6 people, 8 people, you're not getting the 15 points for finishing in first. You know, a 10-person room, from what I remember, was 12 points for first place, and 12 points is usually a second place finish. And this was something I found out interesting about meta. Other players were saying, well, if there isn't that many people, I just leave the room, then come back into the tournament for bigger players, bigger rooms with all 12 characters. You know, if I'm in a room, and this one was a good one, if I'm in a room where there's only 5 or 6 people, I might stick around, but as soon as the number drops below 5, I'm out of there. And with right reason, even though it's kind of like, you know, bending the rules of the meta, I get it. Again, the fewer people there are, the fewer points you get for finishing in first place. Now, when Nintendo does this online open tournament for Europe and Asia, I hope they improve upon this fact that you got to have more places. You know, maybe they'll turn the computers on for them, maybe not. But if you're not getting full rooms, you're not getting as many points. Also, the restriction of if you got the top 8 on one of the days, you can't get the reward for the remainder of the tournament. They did that to be fair to everyone, and I respect that. Frankly, that's how it should have been. All in all, what I take away from Mario Kart 8's tournament this past weekend is that Mario Kart Tour can take a very big example of this. Simply because when you look at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and you race people online, it's a big variety of characters. Whereas the demo for Mario Kart Tour Online, everybody is just 1 or 2 characters, which is a bad thing. The variety is here in this game, where it probably won't be in Mario Kart Tour Online when they finally incorporate it for everyone. Also, it felt nice to get behind the controller and hit them turns on the track again, because let's face it, you don't get that luxury on mobile. It would be nice if you could use like a Bluetooth and then incorporate a controller so you don't have to do any unnecessary swiping and have much better control over your vehicle and items and whatnot. But this is mobile, you gotta work with the screen. It's apparently par for the course. Would I do this tournament again if they post it and give people the time to do it? I say yes. Especially since a lot of people that I know, that I spoke with earlier before dealing with this, they didn't even know it was happening. You know, I look at the Nintendo's website and they announced this on the Nintendo website. The date of this was January 16th. essentially 1 day before the 3-day tournament. If you're going to give notice for a tournament like this, give players like a week in advance. And if they did give them a week in advance, I apologize. But it would have been nice to have the Nintendo's Twitter page actually announce like on, let's say the 10th, to announce the tournament for the 17th. This way, one, you're giving everybody in the region time to practice. Two, you're giving everyone in the region notice so they can actually do the tournament, because you know a lot of young kids who are having school at the time are like, okay, there's a tournament coming up, cool, when's it happening? It's happening this on the weekend of the 17th or the 19th. All right, cool, this will give me time to play, practice, get some coins, get some more vehicle parts that I might need for the meta. And yes, there is a meta when it comes to karts, characters, gliders, and tires. Should things be longer? To some extent they should. To other extent, no. But one thing is definitely for certain. You have to make sure that when you do these tournaments to offer stuff like that, you have to be able to guarantee 12 players or 12 drivers on the track. You know, racing in a race during your 24 and it's just 3, 4, 5 other people, you're not going to get the 15 points. If that's the case, and this is my critique, if that's the case, first place should always be 15 points, regardless of the number of people playing, even if it's you and one other person. That's all I'm going to say on this matter. Share your opinions in the comment section below if you participated in the tournament. If you're waiting for your regions to have this tournament, leave your insights in the comment section below. And even share this summary to everyone that you know. But for now, I take my goose from the oven because I'm done. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.